It's alive.
Oh, there we go. I think we're live. Awesome. Good morning. Glad to have you on here today. Welcome to my technology studio today. It got taken over. I just usually sit and talk to my computer, and the tech team caught me and they brought all this stuff, and I have microphones and cameras and TV stations and all that kind of stuff in front of me, so I'll try not to be distracted this morning and I do a good job still. I have to look at a different spot now, so if I'm not looking at the camera this week, it's because I'm trying to get used to something new.
Yes.
But today I want to talk about a specific area of busyness. We can get to be so busy, and it's awesome being busy. You know, we're supposed to be zealous and, fulfilling our purpose and our destiny and our calling. We can get so busy that, every area of our life can feel like it's on autopilot. And we don't want life to just be on autopilot, because then whatever happens to us and we're not really in control of our lives. But I want to pinpoint even more than the whole scope that can be on autopilot. I want to specifically talk about marriage that gets put on autopilot, because I think that's one of the areas that so easily defaults to the bottom of the list. The least important thing that in our day is the marriage, and marriage does not run on autopilot. Marriage is work. And the devil will try to divide you at any stage of marriage, like early on, any stage that you're at. One of the things that we see so commonly actually are divorces at 24 years of marriage, at that range of long-term marriage, and all of a sudden we have nothing in common anymore, or it just doesn't feel like it used to, or it's not supposed to be this way, or I just don't love them anymore. At 24 years of marriage, and it's because of this autopilot. Everybody just gets living their own life, accomplishing all the things, and I get it, we have a lot of things we have to accomplish in a day to get done, that marriage seems to just go by the wayside and get put on autopilot. But the enemy's desire is to divide us, and he is going to do that no matter, and that's the tricky part, is when you've been married for a long time, you won't think that it's a problem, so it can sneak up on you so easily without even recognizing it. But anytime there's division, you know that it is the enemy. You hear things like, we're just not connected anymore. We don't have anything in common. We've grown apart, or we're just different people now. Those are all the same. You'll hear that same thing. And it's the same line that the enemy uses. It's the same device that he uses. So we need to safeguard our marriage and then continue in those things, safeguarding it. And you may have to restart these safeguards over and over and over again. Galatians 6:7 says, God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So whatever thoughts you're dwelling on, that's what you're going to reap from. You're going to plant seeds of that in your life. And 2 Corinthians 10:5 tells us to take every thought captive. And Philippians 4 tells us to think on these things that are of good report, lovely, true. Those are the things we're supposed to think on. But if we're spending time thinking on how disconnected we are, or how much we don't have in common anymore, or how far it's gone, you're actually sowing seeds of that in your life, and that is what you're going to reap from. So even those thoughts in our mind, we have to pay attention to, because they're planting seeds that we're going to reap a harvest from. We need to spend more time. What is that noise? Oh, it's the weed whacker outside the window. I heard this loud, thunderous noise going on, like the wind is blowing outside. But we have to spend more time strengthening and connecting in our marriage. Then we're sowing seeds that will produce a strong and healthy marriage. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a ton. It just takes both people, or not even both people, it just takes making a little bit of time daily or weekly for each other. Have coffee together in the morning. Just some simple things. You're already drinking coffee. Just don't do it in two separate places. Determine that you're going to sit down and you're going to drink coffee together. Hold hands while you're drinking your coffee. Physical touch is so important, and we can get so super busy that we're ships passing and we don't even physically touch each other any longer. Pray together in the morning. Pray together before you leave the house. Pray together before you go to bed. Here's a great one that I love to do is listen to audiobooks together and then talk about what you thought about it and discuss them. Make sure you're specifically making time to build your spouse up with your words. Again, it's all stuff that is easy and simple and doesn't require a lot of time, but it can easily get set to autopilot or we don't even think about it. We're just thinking about our checklist of things we have to get through in a day. And it's easy to drift away from these things. So you can determine today, I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in my marriage. I'm going to put seeds of good things in my marriage. And in a week, it shifts away and you're no longer doing it because of the busyness of life. So it's something, maybe even put it in your phone as a weekly reminder. Invest in my marriage. Just put it as a reminder in your phone and as a weekly thing. You could do it as monthly, but I think weekly is probably good because that's how quickly we can get off of a task that we really want to do and something that's super important to us. So set a reminder in your phone and that says invest in your marriage so that it pops up. It'll pop up right at the right time and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, I need to do that. Just like my vitamins that I forget. I have to put a reminder in my phone in order to remember them. And without the reminder, I just wouldn't do it. It doesn't just naturally happen. A strong, healthy marriage actually takes work. So if you're not working on your marriage at all, it's not going to be a strong, healthy marriage. You have to invest time in that marriage. 1 Corinthians 11:9 says, and this is the word of God, a man was not made for woman, but woman was made for man. Yikes. And then Genesis 2:18 says, then the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper that is just right for him. So in all of my busyness and achieving my dreams and goals, I have to remember that I was actually created to be my husband's helper. So in all of that checklist of things that I need to accomplish in a day, I need to remember that first and foremost, I'm my husband's helpmate. And I was created for him. And we need to remember that. But we get it out of order. We get our ministry and all of the things that we have to do. Even our children, we can put them before our husbands. Listen, they're important and they're a priority, but they're growing up and they're going to become independent and they're leaving the house someday. And you and your husband are going to be there together. That's the relationship that you're going to be in for the rest of your life, living in the same house. So it's more important for us to invest in that marriage than any other thing that's in front of us. It's literally what we were created for. And listen, you're not alone. This happens to in any season, even the most elect. I mean, people that you're like, wow, I just thought they were so strong. I just thought, this would never happen to them. Absolutely not. The devil is so sneaky and so sly. If he can get you busy and put your marriage on autopilot, he's going to get in there and he's going to create division. It's going to, at any stage, I mean, we see it. To me, it's unbelievable that somebody can be married for 30 years and then get divorced, but you hear about it all the time. Hi, Pastor Spencer. Watch out, he's right behind you. He's always in here harassing us. So, Pastor, we're talking about marriage and not being on autopilot in our marriage. So the devil will put thoughts in like something's these are thoughts, and you'll hear this because he uses the same line on he's not that creative. God is a creative God. The devil, he's not that creative. He uses the same line. So when you hear things like this, something's just missing from my marriage. Devil, Devil, I'm telling you, it's we need to learn those code things, those key things that he uses. So when we hear them, it'll trigger, wow, this is the devil. This is the enemy, because he uses the exact same tactic, the exact same thing. Something's just missing from my marriage. We've lost something along the way. There's no way to get it back. Oh, that's a famous one. There's no way. We've just grown apart. When you hear those things in your spirit, you need an alarm to go off. That's the devil. And he loves to plant those thoughts. And again, it doesn't matter how many years you've been married or how great your marriage is. He can catch you. If he can catch you off guard, those thoughts will take roots and he will win. He desires to divide you, and you deserve to have a great marriage. And you can, no matter how far gone you think it is. I've seen people come back from they couldn't stand each other, that they make their skin crawl, and they're able to come back into a loving relationship. It's a lie from the enemy that there's no hope for this marriage. That is one of his tactics, and we need to be aware. Beware of the devices and build things in your marriage to safeguard it and continue in them. Galatians 6:7 tells us, Colossians, I think it's Colossians 10:5. Nope, it's Corinthians. Take every thought captive. Mm-hmm. So if you're spending all that time you're spending time on something. So even those thoughts of being disconnected, or there's something just missing, those are thoughts that are taking your time. We need to take those thoughts captive and replace it with thoughts. As long as you're wasting time thinking of all the disconnect and all of the wrong things, you might as well utilize that time to build, because you are sowing seeds into your marriage no matter what, whether it's those negative thoughts or those positive thoughts. It doesn't just naturally happen. A good marriage, it doesn't just automatically happen. A strong, healthy marriage is work. And serving God together should be fulfilling. It should be a man can't fulfill you. A woman can't fulfill you. But having a relationship that you're serving God in is so incredibly fulfilling. So yes, serve God and busy yourself with serving God, but make sure you're making time in there to build a good, healthy marriage. So, maybe you're at the place where those thoughts have already been planted. They've already been sowing seeds into your life. Maybe you have that old friend on Facebook that has just friend requested you. Seems perfectly innocent, right? And then they start complimenting you and saying nice things, and you're not hearing that from your husband, and you really enjoy that. Delete them. Amen. Delete them. Block them. Amen. Get out of that. Do not participate. The first step into turning this around is to shut those connections off. Amen. And listen, again, it can happen at any stage, at any age of your marriage. So be aware and pay attention. It can be restored. It's not too far gone. Just a few changes and a little bit of attention and investing will plant new seeds. And whatever you plant will grow a harvest. You just haven't been putting gas in the car. Right. You need to start putting gas in the car. And when you put gas in a car, guess what? It's gonna go. Your marriage is never, ever too far gone for it to be restored and for that flame to be sparked back. It's just gonna require taking it off autopilot and being intentional and doing things intentionally. So some of the things that you can do right off is just have fun. Laugh. Amen. And stop being so uptight and serious about. That's the number one. Number one right there. Stop being so uptight and serious. Seriously. It's a Debbie Downer. It's just a strain. It's a strain on your life. It's a strain on your marriage. It's a strain on your relationship. Stop being so uptight and serious and have some fun and laugh. It seems crazy. Having fun can restore my... Absolutely. You become the person that your spouse fell in love with again. When life and its busyness gets you all uptight and caught up in all those things, you become not what you used to be. You become something that's like abrasive, like sandpaper. And we don't want to be that. So have fun. Schedule fun. Fun isn't going to just present itself. You actually have to make time for fun. So here's something you and your spouse can do is to help in this area, because being so busy, we forget about ourselves. We forget what we like and what we enjoy. So here's a project you can work on with your spouse that will help build, is come up with 15 activities that you enjoy doing. Like separately, not together, just you sit there, you write 15 things you enjoy doing, and your spouse writes 15 things they enjoy doing. This, and that's going to be difficult. That'll be a challenge in itself. That'll take you a little while just to come up with 15 things that you enjoy doing. If you live life any amount of time at all, you end up getting so busy with stuff that you forget what you even like to do. You don't even remember anymore what you like to do. But it's so important to not lose that in life. So sit down with your spouse and do this activity. Write down 15 things, and it's going to be hard to come up with. And come up with things that don't always cost money. It doesn't have to cost anything. Come up with 15 things that you both like to do, and then take time to do those things. Exchange the list with your spouse. Have their list of what they like to do. It's not all about you. Don't just do the things that you want to do or expect them to do the things. Well, I never do. My husband never does anything with me. We just don't like the same things. Well, then do something he likes to do, even if you don't like to do it. You get to be with your spouse. If they like golfing, my husband loves golfing. I hate golfing.
Amen.
I cannot stand golfing. But I will go golfing with him. I'll carry his bag if he wants me to. I'll ride in the cart, whatever, just to be with my spouse, to have him do something he enjoys doing. That brings me joy, is having my husband be able to do something he enjoys doing. So do stuff. No, don't just make this list and then exchange it and don't do anything. You've got to do stuff that they enjoy doing. And you know what? When you give that, they'll want to do some of the things that you enjoy doing, even if they don't like doing them. So you'll have stuff that you can do together. Having the list is imperative, because having to come up with it on the spur of the moment and to try to think of something is just absolutely impossible, and it's too difficult, and it will cause strain. So if you take time and make this a date time, like our date tonight is going to be coming up with all of these activities that we're going to be able to spontaneously do. Like maybe you like riding bikes. Make sure you put it on your list and then get bikes. Get bicycles so that you can go on bike rides together and do things together. So make this list of 15 things that you enjoy doing. And man, if you've lived life a long time and you're like in your later stages or in your middle stages of life, it might be really, really difficult because you're so far beyond enjoying things in life you've forgotten for so long. I mean, if you're young and newlyweds, this is going to be brilliant for you. It's going to give you something to go through all of those years with. So it might be a little bit more difficult if you've been married for a long time, but dig deep in your memory bank and come up with ideas. Maybe you can write ideas. That's the other thing that this tech team has done to me. Now I can't see any of my comments. I don't even know who's on watching. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let them do this next week. I don't like it at all. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, maybe you can write in the comments so the other ladies can see some of the things that you like to do. So if you could do that for me, let me get on my Facebook on my phone so I can see. So while I'm doing this, go ahead and look up things that, or type in things that you enjoy doing. All right, so write in some of the things. Carla said, I'll try not to be so serious. Okay, so type in some of the things that you like to do, that you enjoy. If you're even, Mackenzie, Sammy, go ahead and type in. Carla put in ride bikes. I love walking or hiking. Puzzles. Awesome. Playing cards. Very good. These things cost nothing. I'll put golf on because my husband likes doing that. Golf. Ooh, riding motorcycles. Yes, definitely. Give each other some ideas. Oh, listen to this, ladies whose husbands are gamers. Ooh, I cannot stand video games. I'm super happy that my husband is not a gamer. But if your husband's a gamer, maybe taking some interest in playing a video game with him. He'll probably destroy you in it, but he might enjoy that. So if my husband can beat me at something, I know it brings him great pleasure. So, Scrabble. I love playing Scrabble. My husband hates playing Scrabble, but he'll play Scrabble with me. He tries to win. Sometimes he wins. Swap massages. Boating. Going to coffee shops. Hiking, reading, acting, singing, painting, kayaking, and going on pretty drives. Awesome. Baking and cooking together can be a super fun thing, and the end result is this amazing meal. That's a great date idea, is to just pick a recipe and cook it together, and then you can enjoy eating a gourmet meal. Sammy. Carla said, stop stealing my answer. A movie night. Absolutely. So go ahead and keep writing your ideas in there. We're going to go on to the next thing. Encouragement list. Both you and your spouse. Here's another. The separate time. Don't do it all at the same time. Here's another one you can do is encouragement list. 10 things your spouse can do to encourage you. Because listen, we try to get the guys, we want them to just know what we're thinking. Listen, they are not women. They can't even begin to think like we think. They have no concept of how we think, and they can't think like us. So write 10 things. Both of you write down 10 things your spouse can do that would be an encouragement and a blessing to you. I know that they have a Love Dare book out there. That's a great thing. If you're not creative and you don't have ideas, that'll give you some ideas. So maybe do that as another date. Get the Love Dare book. Use some of the ideas in the Love Dare book to put on your list if you can't think of ways that you could be encouraged. And then exchange these lists of encouragements that you can do for each. Listen, we expect them to just know these things, and then we get mad because they don't know them. We need to communicate what we want. It's not a bad thing to tell them what you expect. Don't get mad at them because you had to tell them because they didn't think of it on their own. They are never going to think of it on their own. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So communicate. Communicate what encourages you. So I've given you 2 things that you can do on dates now. You can spend this next one on figuring out ways to encourage each other. And then exchange lists. And then, so don't just exchange lists, then consistently do what's on your spouse's list. Consistently do things that will encourage them. Now here's another one. It's not maybe so much fun, but it produces fun in the end, is make a budget. Too many times finances are what cause fights and arguments and struggles and stress in a marriage. And there is no reason to have financial stress except for lack of budgeting in your marriage. So this may be the consistent fight that you have is over finances and over money. Take time to do a budget. And budget should always include, first, of course, your tithe. But budget should always include a savings account. If you don't know how to do a budget, it's something I love. I'd be happy to sit with you or FaceTime with you and help you do a budget. A budget is relieving of so much stress on a marriage. Allowances are something I always build inside of a budget because it's just realistic that you're gonna spend money on stuff. Yeah. Date day is another thing that we build right into the budget. savings is vital so that you don't get stuck robbing Peter to pay Paul when something breaks. So having a budget, doing a budget, for me it's actually fun. It's like therapy doing budgeting. It's so amazing. But when you walk in the results, the harvest of a budget, it is a beautiful thing. And it is one of the number one reasons why people get divorced. So we can take time to make this thing go away and not be a problem in your marriage just by giving it a little bit of attention and by doing a budget. So it can actually build your marriage if both spouses take that budget seriously. So creating a budget and sticking with it, it's a team thing. It's teamwork. It's a team building exercise for your marriage. Here's another thing that you can do. Exercise together. I know it might not be it might not be something that you enjoy doing that's fun, but it's good for you. It's healthy for you, and to do it together is awesome. I know my husband and I, and it's something you have to restart often too, because you can get busy and get away from it. So we just restarted doing exercise together a few days ago, and it's just so it's healthy for you. It's something that's so good for you. So exercising together is another thing that can really bring you back together and draw you back together. Praying together. Start praying together. Maybe you've never done that. Before you both leave the house, just pray together. Both people pray out loud over the day and just pray together. There's a spiritual bond and restoration that goes on with praying together. And then here's a good one, cuddle time. Make sure that there's time. Man, you sit on opposite sides of the room. You don't even sit on the same couch or the same. You just sit on opposite, and it can just happen. You just come in and plop yourself down, and your spouse pops himself in a different place. Cuddle. Take time to sit next to each other and cuddle. What's your bedtime routine? Do you distract yourself with cell phones? You're both in separate seats on your cell phones separately? Like, take the time to sit next to each other. Are you on your laptops, or are you in separate books reading? Do you rationalize that using those things help you sleep? Well, guess what? Happy chemicals are released in your brain from cuddling and sex, and it will actually help you sleep better. So you're using those things as, well, this helps me sleep better. Well, cuddling and sex, actually proven scientifically, will help you sleep better. Chemicals are released in your brain that will help you sleep better, and it's so bonding and restoring of your marriage. So making sure that that is a part of your marriage. And again, the touch thing. Hug your spouse. Kiss your spouse. Every time you leave or come back together. Just making that a habit. That physical touch can change so many. It's a simple, easy thing. Guys, if you are watching this, it is so easy to do this. And it will be so constructive for your marriage. As simply as just hugging each other and kissing before you say goodbye and when you come back together again. Just make sure physical touch stays apart. It is a glue in your marriage. It's a joining in your marriage. Make sure you do it. It's so easy to just get caught up in routines of not doing these things. These are imperative things that will help build your, and at any stage, like you might be disgusted with your spouse. Start doing these things and it will change everything. And then conversation. Have good conversations with your spouse. Not always negative conversations. Most of the time, our conversations can tend to be strictly negative. We need to make sure there's more positive than negative. According to research, happy couples make 5 times more positive than negative statements to each other and about each other. Make sure you're saying positive things about your spouse, because whatever you're saying, again, is a seed planted and will produce a harvest. So if you're speaking negative, you're producing the negative harvest. You're the one that's doing that, not your spouse. You are. So we need to plant positive communication, positive statements. If you have to say something negative, make sure you're saying 5 positive things surrounding that negative so that your balance is good, good, good on the portion of positive. Make sure if your conversations are positive, they're more likely to want to enjoy having conversation with you. Nobody enjoys a constant negative conversation. Hear me. It is, you might just say, oh, well, I'm just by nature a negative person. I'm just a realist. Well, guess what? You're just planting those seeds into your life, and you're creating the harvest in your marriage that you're doing. If you want to have a good, happy, healthy marriage with positive things coming out of it, you have to plant positive seeds. There are too many, I'm serious, if you look at your conversations with your spouse in a day, are all of them negative? I'm going to go there. All of them negative. Because I feel like more conversations are negative than positive. We have to change that. And that doesn't take any more time. If you're taking time to have negative statements, you can turn those same statements positive, and that takes the same amount of time. So we're talking about busyness. This doesn't require any more time to be positive over being negative. So make communication positive with your spouse. And I get it. Sometimes you do have to bring up things that are negative. But again, surround it by positive statements. They call it a sandwich. You put positive, positive, put the little bit of negative, positive, positive on the end. You make a nice little sandwich. And then it's more palatable than just, Guess what? They're not even hearing you. If you always come at them with negative, there is a divide that's happening. You are growing apart because they're not even hearing you. You're not even having conversation. If it's negative, you think you're communicating, you're not even communicating. You're not even having conversation. They aren't even hearing you. They're thinking about how excited they are to end this conversation and go do something that they want to do. Listen, the power is in your hands. Your marriage is and you deserve, it's so important, you deserve to have a good marriage. And the power is in your hands. You can do it no matter how bad it is or how far it's gone. You single-handedly have the power to change it and make it a good relationship. So these are just some starter ideas. I just wanted to help launch you into a better marriage. There's plenty of other things that you can do. I just wanted to inspire you. But pray and ask God for wisdom of more ways that you can build your marriage and encourage one another and have a good, happy marriage, because it's going to last you this lifetime. Prayerfully, it's going to last you this lifetime. Because divorce, man, that should just not be an option. There's so much pain and brokenness that goes along with that. And then you take that into the next marriage and it's just pain. And you might as well work on it with the marriage that you've got. Work on it with the one that you are with right now. God says, let no man put asunder what he's put together. You made a covenant before the Lord. Whether you are saved or not, a marriage is before the Lord. It's a covenant that you've made. So stay in that relationship. You can make the changes that it requires to have a happy, good relationship with your spouse. So don't be so busy that you put your marriage on autopilot. Take the time, invest, do things to sow seeds of good things in your marriage. And let's start today. I love you all so much, and I pray this has caught that area that maybe you've shifted into autopilot on and woken it up. And again, put those reminders in your phone, because we could have this conversation once a month probably, and it would still be applicable. So you put the reminder in your own phone. Invest in my marriage. Pay attention to my marriage. do things to build my marriage. Put those reminders in your phone so it comes up, or on your calendar, however you do it. Maybe you have a paper calendar. Write it in once a month on your calendar to invest in your marriage. And that way you'll have a long, happy, healthy marriage that you deserve to have, that God created it to work in a good fashion. Marriage is supposed to be good, and it can be. It's in your hands. I love you, and I will see you next week.